Do authors think about how exactly they want their books to be read once published? And perhaps more importantly, is there any way to recover this intended reception of the book even after the author is long gone? Well, my research deals with how authors constructed the reception and readership of their books back in the 1500s during the Renaissance. In order to understand how authors created a reception for their books, I use a very specific form of literature called emblem literature as a sort of lens to understand how authors created the reception of their books. So what is emblem literature? Well, on the slide, I have provided what a single typical emblem would have looked like. This particular emblem, which is about the virtues of silence, would have been combined with many other emblems in order to create an emblem book. Now, emblems are this very curious form of literature in which we have a title up in the top in all caps, combined with an image, and then this sort of riddle-like verse at the bottom. Emblems were wildly popular during the Renaissance. Hundreds of thousands of these books were printed, and it was an amusing way to pass the time, not only alone, but also with your friends. In searching for a modern-day comparison, we might be inclined to call an emblem a sort of Renaissance meme, in that memes are also very popular and a combination of image and text. As it turns out, emblems, even though they seem very simple, and the comparison that I made seems very simple, they are actually really complicated to understand. There's a very intricate interplay that exists among the three elements of the emblem, the title, the image, and the verse, through which a reader would really have to puzzle and meditate in order to understand the emblem's meaning. In addition, emblems used classical culture, classical mythology, and even Egyptian hieroglyphs as their sources of references and content. So if a reader was unfamiliar with a certain reference made in an emblem, they would have to consult other source texts, multiple texts, when reading an emblem book in order to understand the emblem's meaning. As it turns out, the way in which a reader approached an emblem, that is, consulting multiple source texts at the same time, and in really puzzling and meditating on the meaning, is how some very shrewd Renaissance authors constructed the reception of their book. In viewing these works emblematically, we can understand that authors did not see their books as a single entity that existed in isolation, but rather as a book that existed with an entire network of texts. And this network of texts is what the authors would have wished their readers to consult when reading their own work. In addition, the process of forcing readers to consult multiple texts at the same time led to a reflective reading experience that the reader would really have to ponder the meaning of this one single book. So in using emblems as our lens, we can not only better reconstruct the intended reception of these books, but we can also better understand the meaning of any Renaissance text. Thank you.